All right, everybody, welcome to our inaugural UDDA Podcast. This is the pilot episode. I'm your host, Michael Kirschner. I'm one of the co-founders here at UDDA. For those of you who don't know, UDDA is a free-to-play wagering app where you wager UDDA bucks instead of cash. So when you sign up for UDDA, we're going to give you at least 10,000 UDDA bucks to play with. UDDA bucks are the virtual currency you can use on the UDDA app. You can bet your UDDA bucks in our sports book, which has a very traditional look and feel of an mobile sports book. What makes us unique is you can also bet directly against your friends. So you can use the lines that we set within the sports book. If I like the Knicks and you like the Lakers and they're playing each other, we can bypass the sports book and bet our UDDA bucks against each other. We also feature multiple sports wagering contests on the app and all sorts of other custom betting options. So check out UDDA, download UDDA wherever you download your mobile devices. We're available on iOS and Android. It's a lot of fun, and we'd love to have you join our community. In this podcast, we have two special guests today, both part of our UDDA College Ambassador Program. Dan Brady, fighting out of the University of Pittsburgh, and Will Moore from Northwestern, just north of Chicago. Gentlemen, how are you? Welcome to the UDDA Podcast.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
All right. Well, you guys, I mentioned it, both go to mid-sized schools and big athletic conferences. Let's talk a little bit about sports on campus. Will, let's start with you. Freshman year wrapping up in Northwestern. Talk a little bit about the Wildcats, the atmosphere on campus, and kind of what are sports like on Northwestern, both from a college sports standpoint as well as how involved is the Northwestern community in the Chicago sports scene?
Yeah, I think this year, especially, I was very lucky enough to have gone to Northwestern when the football team was actually really good. So this year there was a lot of hype around the football team, and everyone was just obsessed with them, watching them. So I think, at least for me this year, I've seen that a lot of people are super into the sports, and there's a solid fan base here. I think being from Boston too, like everyone in Boston is just so obsessed with the sports teams here. So I was curious to see what people are like here in terms of following Chicago sports and stuff. But people are really into the Cubs right now. I have a bunch of friends who go to the games a lot. So yeah, I think Northwestern's very involved with Chicago sports.
Have you made it to Wrigley Field yet, or is that something that's on?
I have not. I'm looking forward to. I'm trying to go watch them play the Nats the coming week.
Try and get some bleacher tickets. There's nothing like a day game at Wrigley. Bleachers with a cold one, if you're allowed to do that. Dan, Pittsburgh, congratulations, just graduated. Pittsburgh's an interesting sports school because every now and then they'll sneak up on you. The basketball team, I'm a Syracuse guy, basketball team always gets Syracuse fits. Talk a little bit about Pittsburgh, both from a college and professional standpoint.
Well, yeah, unfortunately, on the contrary to Will, I went to Pitt while we were not very good at sports. Our basketball team has been pretty irrelevant in terms of what we used to be. In the 4 years that I've been here personally, we're starting to get better. We have a new coach. We took the assistant coach from Duke, Jeff Capel. He seems to be pretty good. I actually ran into him once at Giant Eagle, which is our grocery store. So I got to talk to him for a few minutes about the team. Also our football team, we've had a couple nice upset wins. We beat Miami, who was number 2. A few years ago, we beat Clemson, who was number 1. But that's pretty much all there is to talk about in terms of Pitt sports. We're in a bit of a lull right now. We're kind of, but the interesting thing is the ACC has been in a bit of a lull too. So for football, we've made it to the ACC championship quite a few times recently as like a bad football team.
Right.
So we'll make it and we'll get slaughtered
Just
by
smoked.
whoever it is. Yeah.
Clemson or Florida State.
But in terms of professional sports, obviously, the Steelers and the Penguins, people love both teams. Any given time you're walking around downtown, you'll see people with Penguins jerseys on, or same thing with the Steelers. The stadium's packed for every game. I haven't even been able to get to a Penguins game because the tickets are so expensive all the time. But
Yeah.
I've been to a few Steelers games. They're a ton of fun.
Ton of fun. Talk about, it's interesting. You were in college when the regulation changed and sports wagering became essentially legal, or the states could decide that it's legal. And you're both in states where sports wagering is actually legal. Talk about, you, your friends, your community. How involved are they in sports wagering, and how has that changed the way you think people are engaging and watching sports? Dan, go ahead.
Sure. So, well, I mean, for me at least, these things changed right around the time that I was turning of age to gamble. So I can't really say what the effect would be like for, going from not being able to bet on college sports to being able to bet on them. But in terms of people that I know around campus and gambling, it's huge already. Every single person I know gambles, or at least knows about gambling, knows lines, knows spreads, kind of knows what they're looking for when they're watching a game. So it's definitely really big. It's something that is going on and definitely will continue to get bigger on campus.
Well, what about you? You're up in Illinois, and Illinois as well just passed legislation where sports wagering is legal. UDA, again, we're not betting with cash, we're betting with UDA bucks. It's free to play. We try and make it as accessible as possible. So question for you is, one, how involved are you, your friends, in legal for cash wagering? But then also, what's the value of an app like UDA where you get to kind of experience the same thrills, but don't have to put your hard-earned money, your money that you may have made at a side hustle or a gig job or a job on campus, or quite worse, your parents' money, don't have to put that at risk. But just talk about the culture of sports wagering up on Northwestern campus.
Yeah, when I got here, I found like a really good group of friends who, like to gamble on sports. And I think a lot of us were, pretty new to the game at first and didn't really know what we were doing that well. So there was, a good amount of losses. But I'd say since I've been here, we've all, helped each other out and gotten a lot better. And I have a group chat of like 30 friends, and we, send our picks in and stuff. And we've also been a lot more careful with betting. So I think that's where an app like UDA can come in, where, if you're not really sure about something and you want to maybe just throw some UDA bucks on it with your friend or something like that and not put real cash on it. I know that group chat that I was talking about, I've, told all of them about UDA. And so I think right now we're trying to set up some private contests, who can earn the most UDA bucks for 1 week, stuff like that. So,
nice. Dan, I know you've done some kind of custom bets. I know you posted a couple on social media, TikTok. What do you think? What's your favorite custom bet on UDA that you created, that you did with buddies or your fraternity?
Sure. So this is a bet that I've done and will continue to do as soon as today. Anytime I go out and play golf, that's easy. 4 guys, who's going to score the lowest score? We found kind of a way to factor in handicaps too into how we, work the bet. That's definitely been my favorite one. One other thing that I loved was I love betting on the NHL, and people say it's impossible, and that'd be because it is. But every year, what I've done is at the beginning of the year, I take about 2 weeks and I pick every game and I just write it on a piece of paper and see how I do. So that at the end of the 2 weeks, I have an idea, okay, I think I'm ready to actually play with money now. So what's been cool is that this year I used UDA to do these things, and I got started betting real money shortly after because I was killing it.
That's so funny because I talk about the value of UDA a lot, of being try it before you buy it, or develop your strategies before you gamble real money. And the response is always all right, I lost a bunch of UDA bucks, so I'm not going to go do this for real. And then you have the flip side of that is holy crap, I just won a ton of UDA bucks. You idiot, I should have been playing for cash. I would have made so much money. And I think the reality is somewhere in between, right? I think UDA, we've been told a lot that you get the same rush on UDA as you would betting real dollars. I like to think that's true. The other thing too is I think what UDDA can really help people do is money management, which I think is the most important aspect of sports gambling. And I always say, like, the most effective way to manage money in a sports wagering account is you need to decide what is your comfort level and how much are you willing to lose in a given, call it, year, right? If you're willing to lose $1,000 in a year and that's your comfort level, to me, your maximum bet should not be anything greater than 3% of the amount you're willing to lose. And that would be a $30 bet. And, I always say for, big events like the Super Bowl, that those should be your 3% events, right? The Final Four, like, not everybody agrees with that because every game is like money's money, right? You can bet on you can bet on a NHL. I'm not a big NHL fan. I could bet on an NHL game. Don't care much about the NHL. Win. The money's just as green as I would on the Super Bowl. But I always like to bet a little bit more during the high profile events. What are some of the strategies that you guys incorporate when you're playing on UDDA or playing for real?
Well,
go
ahead, Will.
At least for me, I try and check Twitter and search for injury updates, and so I one account that I follow is Fantasy Labs. They're very good at sending updates and stuff. And so I try and beat the lines that way. Also, in terms of NHL, I like the puck line a lot, especially for the good teams, just because they're up by 1 goal with, a minute left. There's a good chance that they could get an empty net goal. So
yeah,
at least when I'm betting NHL, I always go puck line.
Dan, what about you?
Yeah, for NHL, I usually pick 6 games a night when there are 6 games, which is typically every night. And I'll put together a parlay for $5, see if it hits. And then the 2 games I like the most, I actually bet on.
Yeah.
So I'm looking into every game.
What's the so a $5 16 parlay? Have you hit it one yet? And what's it pay?
Yeah, I actually hit 2 in a row to start the season, and then I never won one again. But it's typically the first one I won was $160, and then the second one I won was $270 because I had a lot of dogs.
Yeah, and hockey, it's funny because I bet just about every sport except hockey, and maybe I'll get into a little bit in the playoffs because I do love playoff hockey. I think it's awesome. But hockey, like baseball, you're typically betting the money line and not the spread, which is why you see that difference between the 160 and the 200. Right. So we're gonna do a segment now that we're gonna do every week during the UDDA podcast. We're gonna call it the Pick 6 plus the extra point. We've put together 6 questions that we're all going to answer. These 6 are kind of like a multiple choice, either a yes or a no, or an over or under, or there's one of 3 or 4 different options. The 7th is more open-ended. That'll serve as our tiebreaker. The winner of this segment, and all 3 of us are going to play. I'm your host, so I'll be here next week no matter what. But if Dan or Will win this segment, and we will track it, they'll be back to defend their crown against a new guest next week. I think Dan may have a recurring role on this podcast, so we'll see how that works. But I'm going to ask 6 questions. We're all going to answer them, and then we'll ask the seventh again, open-ended. So these are all events that will take place from today through the latest would be Monday. And we'll, Monday night, we'll take a look and we'll see our results and we'll report back, and we will hold each other accountable. We will report on our records, which I know a lot of podcasters and personalities don't do. So let's kick it off. You boys ready?
Yep.
All right, let's do it. All right, let's start Pga Tour. This weekend, AT&T Byron Nelson Classic. John Rahm, Bryson DeChambeau are both the 8-1 co-favorites. While Texas native Jordan Spieth is 10-1, he's a close 3rd choice. First question: will Jordan Spieth finish in the top 10 of the AT&T Byron Nelson Championship? This event is being played. It's a new course. First time this course has hosted the event. TPC Craig Ranch. It's just outside of Dallas. Spieth is from Dallas. Will he finish in the top 10? Let's go to Will. What say you?
I definitely think he's going to finish in the top 10. I've been very impressed with Spieth so far this year. I think he's back. And especially now that you said they're playing where he's from, I think that's a lock for sure.
Dan?
I'm going to go with no. I think this is such a lock that it has become an anti-lock. So I'm going to go with no.
Yeah, this one's a really hard one for me. I went back and forth. Spieth he's been playing better, tied for third at the Masters. He's got a few top fives this season. He, in his interesting fact, he as a 16-year-old, this was the first PGA event that he ever played. He wound up finishing 16th in that. It was at a different course. This is the 206th PGA event that Spieth is entering into. He's finished in the top 10 in 70 of them. That's a 34% top 10 rate. I'm going to go with Dan on this one. I'm going to say no. I think it could go either way. We'll report back on Monday. All right, let's move to baseball. The Dodgers struggled a little bit over the last week, although they did just take 2 from Seattle, so they are starting to play a little bit better. They're currently sitting in 3rd place in a very competitive NL West. They host the Miami Marlins this weekend in Los Angeles. Miami 16-20. They're 8-11 on the road. Again, 3 games Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Question: how many games will the Dodgers win in their 3-game series this weekend against the Marlins? Dan, let's start with you.
I'm going to go with 1. I think they're still, although they did get a couple recently, I think Miami is going to take a couple in this one.
All right. Will?
Yeah, I know they've been, struggling a bit, but I'm going to go with 2 just because I think they got to get at least 2 wins in that series. So I'll say 2.
Yeah, I see. Here's the thing. I think the Dodgers are still the best team in baseball. They've been the best team in baseball for the last several years. I think when it's all said and done, they're going to wind up with the best record in all of baseball. They've got Kershaw, Trevor Bauer, Buehler pitching this weekend. Kershaw's pitching to a 2.6 ERA. Bauer's at a 2.5. Buehler's at he's the worst of the 3. He's pitching to a 3.45 ERA. I think they're going to sweep them. I'm going all 3. So unless the Marlins sweep, somebody's getting a point on this one. All right, NBA will stay in Los Angeles. Lakers currently with the 7th seed in the West, which means they could be facing this new play-in tournament, which I went back and forth with a little bit, but I think it's a great thing. I think it's really innovative what the NBA is doing to get, those last 4 teams into the playoffs. Lakers, they played 2 road games this weekend, Saturday and then back on Sunday, back-to-back games. Saturday, they're in Indianapolis against the Pacers, Sunday in New Orleans. Neither one of those teams are great. Indy is sitting in the 9th spot in the East, which means they're facing a potential play-in tournament game as well. Indy's 33-36. New Orleans, they're pretty much out of it at this point. Although they are decent at home at 18-17. Question: how many games will the Lakers win playing back-to-back road games Saturday and Sunday? Will, let's start with you.
I'm going to say 1. I haven't been very impressed with the Lakers of late. I just don't think they're that good, and until they hit the playoffs, I think once playoff LeBron starts playing well, they're going to, run through everybody. But I don't know. I haven't been very impressed, so I'm going to say 1. But
Dan?
I think I'm also going to go with 1. I think they'll probably lose to Indianapolis and then beat New Orleans.
Yeah, interesting. I'm going to say 1 also, but I got it reversed. I think the hardest thing in the NBA to do is win back-to-back road games. It's actually very rare that it happens. But this year, the year of COVID, the scheduling is all kind of wonky. I think they'll win the front end in Indianapolis and then struggle in New Orleans on the second night of back-to-back. But we all got 1. All right. Let's move on. NHL playoffs start this Saturday. Bruins at the Capitol. Let's just pick the winner. Dan, you're up.
Yeah, I think this is probably the biggest toss-up of all the questions so far, but I'm going with the Capitals.
All right.
What do you think about that?
I mean, I'm going with the Bruins. I'm a Boston guy. I've been watching all the games. With Taylor Hall on that team, they just look so good. And head to head all year, the Bruins, I think, have the upper hand against the Caps. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, and I just want to add quickly, as a Sabres fan, we gave away Taylor Hall for a bag of hockey pucks.
Yeah,
Hope you
literally.
enjoy that.
Not bitter about it at all. Yeah, I'm going Caps as well. Ovechkin, Backstrom, tons of playoff experience at home. I'll go with Caps taking game one. All right. Preakness, a lot of controversy around the Kentucky Derby. Medina Spirit looks like he is going to race. 10 horses in the field. The two favorites, Medina Spirit is 9-5. Concert Tour is 5-2. I'll give you the choice of either one of the favorites finishing first or the rest of the field. So you have Medina Spirit and Concert Tour to finish first, or the field. Anybody else in the race to finish first? Dan, who you got? Who you like?
I'm taking the field.
Will?
I'm also going to take the field. I like some other horses in the field.
I'm taking the field as well. I think, first of all, nobody wasn't a very impressive time with Medina Spirit. Who knows what's going on? Who knows if he's actually even going to race? Concert Tour, evidently a great horse, but there are a couple of other very competitive horses in Preakness. I like the field as well. Okay, last question before we move on to our extra point. Let's talk about stocks, right? On UDA, you don't have to bet just sports. You can do all sorts of custom bets. Last I checked, the market is now sitting at about 34,040. It's up about 450 points today, was down about 650 points yesterday. A little bit of a roller coaster ride here. Let's play this through the close on Monday. So will the close on Monday be over or under? Let's go with 34,125. Danny boy.
Given everything that's gone on in the past week, whether it be oil or jobs, you name it, everything that happened this week was pretty bad. So I'm going to go under.
Bill?
Yeah, I got to agree with Dan on this one. I'm going under. I've just seen too much bad recently to go with over there.
Yeah, I set these lines and I try and set them where I'm completely unsure, and I'm completely unsure of this one. This has been an incredibly resilient market. Market is up today. For the love of the game, I'll take the over for the love of the game. Although I think you two are handicapping it a little bit better than I am. All right, final question. This is again, this question is an open-ended question, so you're going to have to give me an actual answer to this one. Will, our freshman at Northwestern University in Evanston, just north of the north side of Chicago Wrigley Field. So let's get the Cubs involved in this one. They're in Detroit this weekend for a 3-game series. Neither one of these two teams have been playing all that well recently. But question, how many total runs will be scored in the 3-game series this weekend in Detroit? Cubs at Tigers. Dan?
I'm going to go with 22.
Will?
I agree that it's going to be pretty low scoring. I'm going to say 24.
Yeah, I think generally low scoring. Detroit. I did go online to see who the projected pitchers were. Nothing projected for Detroit at this point, but we know Arrieta, Williams, and Hendricks are going to go for Chicago. Hendricks actually coming off the injured list. He has the best ERA out of the three, and he's sitting at 4.31. Kyle Hendricks has been awful this year. His ERA is at 6.23. Cubs have given up a lot of runs, but they also have the ability to score a lot of runs. I think slightly above where you guys are. I'm going 26. This could be an interesting one. This is the closest to is the winner. I probably should have done Price is Right on you, Will, and gone with 25, but I'll stick with my original projection. All right, boys. So, hey, really appreciate you guys being part of our first podcast. We're going to report back on how we did on the Pick Six segment. Again, this is something that we plan to do just about on a weekly basis with UDA. We'll post this on our social pages. Check it out as well on wherever we post. I think we should be adding this to YouTube as well. And you'll see a lot more of Dan on this podcast. We're going to have other UDA ambassadors participate. And Will, you were great. We'll definitely have you back as well. Keep up the good work and enjoy the weekend.
All right.
Hey, great to be here.
All right, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
All right.
All right. Good job, guys. Whoops.
Yeah, that was good.
That was pretty good, actually.
How do I stop recording?